hi. I'm doing this video today because I helped a guy from maybe about 2 hours last night building a plane, and I was surprised by how much how much he didn't know about the fundamentals, which is fine because nobody just knows it. You have to learn it, right? So I thought I'd do a quick plane building tutorial with like some quick fundamentals in them. Nothing like too crazy, really easy stuff. Really quick stuff to pick up, and you should be able to build fly anything after this video. Today we are making the Chinese fighter plane, the J-20. I don't think it was actually ever used, but it looks pretty cool. It should be an easy build. Try to do this fast. Excuse me. I'm gonna try to do this fast, so I'm gonna take the mic off and just try to do this as quickly as possible. I will pop in and talk if I need to. Hey guys, thanks for watching. This is a quick plane building tutorial. I'm doing a quick build. If you need help building planes and stuff, I'm going to run over a couple tips that will help you. Just 1 second to read your comment. Hold on. Alright, listen, feel free if you have any questions, please, don't be afraid to ask. Alright, if you don't know, well, if you do know, you don't have to worry about this part, but if you don't know, I just added air intakes on the side because I'm going to use an air-breathing engine. So if you're going to use air-breathing engines like this one, you are going to need air intakes. It's gonna move these in with us. When I build planes, this for me is for aesthetics, not it won't really affect the plane, I guess, when flying, but it just looks better when everything's neater. So, not a major big deal, but you know, if you like neat, then yeah. Like this one little piece I'm gonna add here, not necessary, but I'm gonna do it. Alright, so once usually the steps I take, once I've got the body like this, once I've made the body and I want to start thinking about wing placement and all that, it doesn't even matter if you have an ideal in your head or not. If you even want to just freestyle it randomly for a second, you need to always, or I recommend always having on your center of mass and your your aerodynamic overlay, so that you know where this will tell you, basically these two nodes here will tell you if your wing placement is good or not. So like for instance, yesterday a guy that I was watching him play or whatever, and I was giving him tips, he had literally 2 sets of wings about this far up his plane. This doesn't mean you can't have a plane with wings up this far. But if you're gonna have a plane up with wings this far, there needs to be more weight in the front of the plane, because this blue arrow tells you at what point the plane is going to start getting lift. So right here at this blue arrow, the plane's gonna start to lift up from right here, and probably it's going to do a backflip every time over the center of gravity, because the center of gravity or center of mass will only move a little bit when the fuel runs out, and this will basically just do backflips around it. It will just keep moving around it. So if I have a design like this, a better wing placement for me would be in the back, or towards the back of the plane. So I'm not like a scientist, or you know, I don't know what to call it. I don't know that much about aerodynamics. I just know the basics. I know what it takes to get a plane in the air. So I think these tips will be really good. Again, me doing the clipping with the wings and moving everything in towards the middle. It's just for aesthetics. For me, I like it to look neat. So now, this part is very important. Wing area. Okay, so wing mass, or I don't know how they have it here. Yes, wing area. There we go. Alright, yeah, when you're selecting these wing parts, pay attention to the wing area. That basically tells you how much lift you'll get. More area, more, you know, if there's more wing, there's more lift, basically. If anybody is an expert, and if I'm leaving out any important tips or any like crucial things, don't be afraid to comment. So now that part is done, well, it's not done here. Let me just adjust this. this up just a bit. A good rule of thumb that I always use, I don't know if this is the right thing, but it works for me a lot and it works very well. A rule of thumb when I'm building a plane, never ever have the here, let me get the correct word for it. Never have the aerodynamic node in front of the center of mass or center of gravity node. And the reason why I have it so far back is because when this thing, when it loses its fuel, that node's gonna move. But I have I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about before we send this thing off. So, alright, so, you're thinking, well, this definitely can't be it, right? And no, it can't be. Because, now we have wings in the rear of the plane. Yeah, this will basically keep the, heavier part of the plane. This will keep the heavier part of the plane afloat. But then there's this still... the light, the front part of the plane. I'm sorry if I keep saying so many times. There's still the front part of the plane, and that part needs to be able to float as well. You don't want your plane to be front heavy at all. Or every time that you fly, it will lean forward. If your plane is leaning forward every time you fly, and it's very hard to pitch, you have too much weight in the front. But a way to fix that is by, you can either make canards or you can use the ones that they have here. I'm just gonna use the ones that they have here. Notice the arrow here. And just play around with these to see how things will be when you actually start flying. Like, where would that node go when you actually start flying a craft? And you want to make sure, even with all the fuel out of it, and that this thing, that node does not get behind that the aerodynamic node. Make sure that center mass node never gets behind that aerodynamic node. So even if I lose fuel, it looks like with this placement, I'm gonna be fine. So again, I'm gonna just do this for aesthetics. Keep repeating that. I don't know if you guys are just tuning in or if you've been here. And what I'm doing here is that I'm raising the wings just a little bit, just a tiny bit. And I should actually do my research on this, but I don't know if it's just in this game or if it's real life, but it seems like when I raise the wings up just a little bit on the body, this thing they always take off a lot easier. The takeoff is just a lot easier, a lot smoother. Alright, so now that we've got the wing placement set up, right? Almost done. Wing placement is set up. Let me switch this to what? Alright. The next part is rudders. If you know about rudders or whatever, obviously you don't have to worry about this part. But if you don't, this part is like very, very important. So, two things that I noticed when I watch people who play this game and they're building planes. The rudders, number one, are either too close to each other or they're too far in the front of the aircraft, or yeah, that's about it. Which it just doesn't work. Or they're too close to each other. Yeah, that was what I actually experienced last night. Literally, like they were just way too close. So the way I like to do the rudder placement is, again, go look at these. Oh yeah, and here, let me see. Center thrust, because that's actually what I try to base my wings off of. Yeah. All right. So when you turn on this center thrust node or whatever, if you're going to, this is something I do. This could just be a tip. You want to have your rudders equally apart from the center thrust, but very close to the center thrust. This makes turning while flying very easy for in the game. I've never flown a real plane, but in this game, this works very good. So I wonder if I can use these. I'm worried about the size, to be honest. I'm not comfortable with the size. So yeah, if you're using something like that, that's probably too small for something this size. You don't want to ever struggle to turn, especially while flying. If you can't get a good spot on the plane itself, go ahead and go on the wing a little bit. So you see how I got that's my center of thrust. So I'm going to try to put these not too close, but close enough to my center of thrust. Okay. Just to hit on another tip, if you're building, here, let me go ahead and save this. Hold on. Let's say you don't want to make this kind of design, right? I'll show you. It's basically the same fundamentals, with the same basics, rules or whatever that apply. So, let's say like you don't want the wing here in the back or whatever. All you would do is, when doing your wing placement, is that instead of putting canards and here so far in the front, you see how this went in the front? No good. You would put these canards back here, right? Same place, or at the other ones, or whatever is a good spot on your aircraft. You would check your two nodes, and then I would go back and I would add those rudders here. And building this way, don't pay attention to this. Building this way, from my experience in the game, is that these two little tail fins, or I don't know what they are. I don't know the correct name for them. Maybe it's ailerons. I'm not sure. These two in the back, they provide a ton of control and lift. It's crazy. If you keep it light in the front and you have these control surfaces here in the back, lifting your plane on takeoff will be a piece of cake. Piece of cake. So let's go back and open our botched Chinese remake or mock-up of, not mock, but the J10. So again, okay, I'm gonna put back on. After you build a couple planes, you will probably be able to do this without ever using these nodes. At this point, I use these nodes to see if I'm trying to like build crazy designs and stuff. If I'm making like, you know, some experimental plane or something, and I actually want it to fly, then I would still use these nodes. But you'd be surprised, man, the things that you can get to fly, as long as those nodes are together. All right. Last, another thing I want to hit on, more about the control surfaces. You're gonna need, oh, Elevon, that's what it is. That's the name of it. Yeah, you're gonna need these. This is non-negotiable, unless you want to crash it. So what I'm doing here is, I'm going to show you guys a trick. Oh man, this thing is like, sheesh, maybe doesn't agree with me right now. Let's try and put this on here. Okay, there we go. Alright, so what I've added here, I'm going to scoot them back. You can keep them out if you want to, or you can put them however you want. This is, again, what I do for aesthetics. See, I'll just leave a little tiny piece out. This is what I'm going to use for flaps, which will, if you don't know the role of flaps, I don't know, Google it or something, you know, ask a friend or something. Flaps make taking off and landing. Again, this adds to that same thing. It makes it all so much easier. With flaps, you could literally activate your flaps and this thing would land itself. Like it would just float to the ground. And I don't know the exact science behind how they work. I looked into it briefly. Somehow the air rolls over it or something and it slows down the plane in some weird way, and it keeps it really stable and all that. So that was a really shitty explanation just now, but if you want to know more about flaps, look them up. They're great. And for landing, I would deploy them down just like this. And it would, I'll just have to demonstrate it because I don't know the science behind it, so it's just hard to explain. So I'm going to turn off, alright, yes. If you're doing flaps, make sure that you turn, because they're going to be in the front of the wing, make sure that you turn off the roll, pitch, and all the controls for the wing, and only to leave the deploy option unclicked. In the back here, I don't usually, because there's so many. I have 1, 2, and 3 control surfaces, and with this game, if you try to turn left to right, you're gonna probably do like 3 circles, because it's just gonna be like, it's like, you know, little effort, and you get so many turns off a little effort. So if you don't want to turn out of control all the time, turn some of the control surfaces off of roll, and that's how you fix that. And also make sure you also turn them off of y'all. All of the ones that are on the side, turn them off y'all, or turn the y'all off. I don't know how to say it correctly. I don't know. Okay, so now the yaw is inactive on all of them. Make sure for your wings on the side again that the yaw is inactive. And the only ones that are active for rolling is this one and this one. Nice. You want to go to your rudder and you want to turn everything off except for yaw. That's the only thing you want for rudder. Do not leave the other two active. This will only make problems in the long run, especially if you're a beginner flyer and you haven't quite like got the controller, like, you know, the controls down. If you leave those on, if you push any other direction other than left and right, they'll start moving, and that's not good. You want these to only move left and right for turning or making small adjustments in the air. All right. Okay. So another part I can hit on. Wheel placement. Very important, because I'm seeing a lot of messed up botchy wheel placement. I mean, like, it's looking horrible. I like. So I just wonder. I'm like, whoa, which is fine, because again, nobody starts out knowing everything about planes and all that, or whatever. So that's cool. Wheel placement. Let me just say this: if you're building a plane and your plane starts to go left or right while you're trying to get down the runway and you have no clue why this is happening and it's frustrating the hell out of you, your wheels are they've either been placed crooked or they are too close to each other. If you're on the runway and your entire craft flips over to one side, that means that they are placed too close to each other. If you're on the runway, and this is very, very important, if you're on the runway and you're blasting your thrusters at 100% and you cannot get off the ground, that is not good. That is not good wheel placement. And even though your wing placement may be good, your craft may be set to fly, but if wheel placement is horrible, you won't be able to lift off the ground until after you hit the end of the runway. So I'm going to show you how to avoid that. How you can build a plane and lift off shortly after takeoff. So we're just gonna move these up. My rule of thumb is that when you want your plane, your aircraft to like envision this thing on the runway, right? I'm basically, when I'm trying to get it up in the air, I want the nose of this to go up first without a problem, which these canards are going to help it do that. Once the nose gets pitched up, the air that is going underneath the plane is going to start to pick the plane up. This is where this arrow here starts to come in play. If your wheels are placed, and I'm hitting on like 2 or 3 different points, so try to keep up here, but all very important stuff. If you are, let me just put this here for example. Right? If your wheel placement is like, if it looks something like this, hold on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so if your wheel placement looks like this, right? If all 3 of your wheels are evenly on the ground, stop what you're doing, go back and adjust it. They should not, well, my recommendation is that they should not be, like, they all should not be touching the ground evenly. The wheel in the front should be slightly extended or protruding more than the other one. So what we're gonna do, that's the first rule, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab this, and I'm gonna hit on my other important point right in a quick second. So got one wheel. You don't want it out too far because envision this on the runway. When this thing hits the ground, the wheel is going to hit the ground and the back of this is going to fall and explode or break or get damaged or whatever. Wings are very fragile, so you don't want the back of your plane. You don't want the back of your plane to fall down and break or whatever, or you don't want your wings to break or whatever. So this is very important about wheel placement. Your wheels should sort of, my recommendation is that they should sort of look kind of like this. One slightly, more protruding than the others. The other two in the back. Also, keep in mind if you have a heavier craft, do not use wheels like these. If you do, use more of them. Put two of them next to each other. And oh, these are actually on backwards, but I think that will be okay. My second rule of thumb, and that I wanted to hit on, that's very important for wheel placement, is that envision this on the runway. So now that like I was saying, I want this to take off. I'm going to want the nose to go up without a problem, and that's not going to happen if the wheels are back here. So if you're building a plane and again you can't get your plane off the ground, it's probably because your wheels are so far back you can't pitch. And your wheels are not going to phase through the ground. We know it's a video game, but they're not going to phase through the ground. So to skip that, you almost want this thing like ready to take off on its own, like with little effort at all. So what I do is I move them towards my center of mass, not directly on my center of mass, but very close to it. And this is because the heavier part of the plane will already, I guess, how do I say it, with the engine included, will already have this like sagging feeling on the plane. Like the front wheel will already be like, it'll barely be on the ground, but it will be on the ground. The minute you pitch up, if you pitch up gently, the front's gonna lift up and you're in the air with little effort at all. Again. So that's a thing for wheel placement. This isn't like real aerodynamics or whatever. I just found this out the other day. Instead of putting the struts and actually using more parts, you can use it's like magic struts, auto struts. They're there, but they're not there, which I thought was pretty cool. Because things again look a lot neater when you don't have like bar like things all over. Alright, so again, I literally just built this plane here with you guys. I have not flown it or anything, and going off just those fundamentals or whatever I just taught you, we're gonna give this a test drive and see how well that actually works. Everything I just told you guys, how well it works. And if it works pretty well, then we'll have some fun with it. Yeah, also don't, before you fly, give it a once over, look over everything, whatever, if you have to. Okay, awesome. I put somebody in there for me. Give it a once over. I think I'm gonna be fine. The only thing that could be bad right now, and I'm not perfect. The only thing could be bad is that this may be too much wing area in the front. But I'm gonna try to be as gentle as possible. Oh wait, oops, almost forgot. Because I know actually I had a guy ask me about this, and I don't want to forget. Because I am gonna land this. I'm not gonna crash it. We're not gonna send it into a spiraling free fall into the ocean or any of that stuff. We're actually gonna land this. So Let me just get some parachutes or some drogue chutes. I forget where they switched it up. I forget where the hell all this shit is. Is it utility? Yes, found it. My recommendation for, again, it depends on how big your plane is. You pay attention to all the stuff towards the right. The parachute info on the right. For a plane this weight. 50 G's, nice. Well, yeah. For one, this weight, it's not too big or anything like that. Oh, nah, my battery's low. What we'll do is we'll just put 2 of them. This, like when I land, this should be enough to slow this bad boy down. I'm glad I didn't go and launch it so fast because I almost forgot. Again, guys, unless you want to stay with a certain design or certain look, and you don't want to actually use air brakes. Air brakes are very helpful. I mean, like, really good for slowing you down. And because I believe this thing's gonna get insanely fast, I'm gonna put an air brake on it. Alright, let's take it out. Oh, excuse me. Guys, if you have any other questions or anything else you'd like to know about the game, just comment, and I don't mind answering. So again, already you can see here that I have a small inclination, but that is good because with speed, an inclination like this, an incline like this that's enough to get me off the ground, and that is because, again, my wheel placement, my wheels are more towards my center of gravity, and or your center of mass, whichever term you guys like to use. Oh wow, I forgot these had steering. Awesome. So here, let me set this up before I mess. Okay. So again, I'm gonna, when lifting off, I don't have to be extreme. Again, you don't have to blow it like at 100% thrust, guys, to get off the runway. From what I experienced, most of the time you can get up maybe at 60 meters per second, maybe even 70. So depending on how much surface area you got. So I'm gonna give it a nice slow start, nothing too crazy. And give it a nice, when I pitch, remember, I'm going to keep it nice and gentle. I'm not going to pitch hard. I'm not going to do it crazy. I'm not going to yank it or any of that stuff. I want it to get up in the air nice and easy. Alright. Look at that, 70 meters per second, and I'm already in the air. So guys, if you're doing if you're going down a runway and you're already at 200 meters per second and you can't get off the runway, you gotta go back and you gotta go back and check your design. So what I'm gonna do is get some of this gear, tuck that gear away to get rid of some of the drag. Guys, right now I'm literally not even touching the controller. This thing is flying itself. It's basically floating. And remember to keep in mind, I probably said it 1,000 times, that center of mass, which probably now, because I'm losing fuel, I think from here first, I think I'm going to use, nope, I'm not using. Alright guys, give me a second, let me check that comment. He probably has a question. I'd like to respond to everybody. Oh, PS4, dude, I'm on PS4. I'd really like to play this on PC though, because there's just like so much you can do on PC. All right, yeah, like I was saying, yes. Just if you gotten lost at any point, go back and just check about what I said about the center of mass and aerodynamic lift. Remember guys, if you're using engines like these or any other air breathing engines, you need air intakes. anything like this is just will be fine. Will be just fine. Um, Sorry guys, I apologize. Let me check that real quick. Oh wow, dude, you're probably the first I've ever heard that. That's pretty cool though. If you enjoy it a lot on console, I do like the convenience of it because I do play my PlayStation a lot more than I use computers, and man, I do love this game. So yeah, I just literally hit the controller just a little bit on accident, but this thing's basically been flying itself. I've not let me let up on the throttle a little bit. So yep, that's all you got to keep in mind about when building. Yeah. Now let's see like how really well it really handles. So again, when I set these to roll, pay attention to the if you see it, if you can still see it. When I pitch, everything goes up. When I pitch, but when I roll, only the ones that I set to roll. This way, this is so that I'm not rolling out of control. When I roll, I want to tilt just a little bit. I don't want to tilt so much that I'm doing like 2 or 3 circles. Oh, I'm going too fast. Whoa. Again, wait, let me just check this because I want to. Oh, should I actually kept some of the weight here in the front? Well, there's a ton of weight in the front. Man, what are we using? I don't see any of the fuel disappearing. I don't know what we're using right now. Can somebody? Oh, we're not using any fuel. This is weird. All right, I've never done. I guess we're flying. All right, so we're gonna take this so to the runway, guys. If you don't know about turning and maneuvering in the air in this game, again, these aren't like I've never flown a plane, but if you want to do it in this game, I found it easiest to turn by yawing left to right and then pitching up. So you would yaw left to right and then pitch up. And oh, this isn't good. It's a bad miscalculation on my part. I think I'm having too much weight in the front of the plane. So what we'll do is make sure if it is even using fuel, man. I don't think it's even using fuel. But if it was using fuel right now, by locking those, it would force, and then if you need to make adjustment by transferring fuel to even out the weight, then you can do that by clicking square. So now we're coming in for a landing. Again, I'm not perfect at this. I'm gonna try to do my best. Ooh. Let's get steady there. So maybe 1 is just enough for pitching. Maybe I just need 2 instead of having all 3 of them pitch, because it makes it a bit harder. So I'm gonna, if you don't know, square is your air brake or brakes in general. Gonna get the gear out, cut the throttle. Very easy stuff. You just want to line this up and remember just to keep yawing and pitching. That's how you're going to line it up with the runway. Shoots. Oh, I had too much speed, but I'm pretty sure if I didn't have that much speed, I could have probably landed that. Let me see. Oop. So, here, I actually think I have, Yes, I have a flight in progress already. Awesome. I can show you some more cool stuff or some other cool building tips for flying planes, or if you want to experiment, if you want to get crazy with your build, if you want to just make crazy stuff or whatever. It's still possible. Oh no, wait, nope, that's not what I was looking for. So we're gonna go to the Space Center. And if you're like what I do sometimes too, if you're just starting out building something or building planes in general or whatever in this game, find a picture of a plane and kind of model your design after that picture. And 9 times out of 10, if you put things where they are in the picture, that it's gonna fly. 9 times out of 10, and you can look at those designs. You look at real planes and real stuff. You get all sorts of ideas and all kinds of stuff. So I want to show you two different examples, two completely different designs that are like nowhere near each other. Well, no, actually, this one may be a bit similar in wing design, but not wing placement. So, okay, here we go. Here's a craft that I made not too long ago, and this is also modeled after a real aircraft. It's the Su-47 Burkut. I think it was also never ever used. I don't believe they ever even used it, but man, it's a beautiful plane. If you ever look it up, it's outright beautiful. All right, don't mind the stuff on the bottom here again. Let's turn on this so you can see. Okay, where my center of mass is, where my aerodynamic lift is, where it's gonna start. And if you look, my center of thrust is actually off. It's a little to the right. I wonder what that is. Oh, it may be because of these. I think it's calculated in these also, but when I'm actually flying, I'm only gonna use these two. I'm okay. So yeah, if you want to get accurate node placement when you're doing this, make sure you take off all your extra engines and all your extra little doodaddles or anything else you're gonna use. And oh man, what I should have done was because this thing's quite heavy, I believe. What at 24 tons. And I'm going to show you that I can still get this thing off the ground at probably around 70-80 meters per second. Kind of worried about that aerodynamic, low center of thrust, because it's a little over to the right, and that could never be good because that means that the plane's gonna either go left or right. Also, again, if you look at where I have my wheel placement, of course most of the mass is going to be right here around the wings where I have this payload. There's also payload inside. That's why you see these two bars here. Also, oh, because this craft was so heavy, and that's why I have the extra wing area back here. Although there was supposed to be a control surface back here. So there is a control surface missing. Should I just fix it now or just still try it? Let me just fix it. Because without that control surface in the back, it will be that thing's gonna have a hard time getting up in the air. I'm like a real hard time. So let's just add one. I usually, I think it's a really small one. Now the real SU-47 Burkhardt does not have a control surface in the back, but this game, yeah, this game says that this plane is really heavy, so it's not gonna be easy to get up. Alright, now we've got those two there. Again, also, like, if you see all my building, you see that I have basically the air intake from air breathing engines. Again, to have, well, if you're using canards, to slightly raise them just a bit so that takeoff is just a breeze. Whoa, look at that. Bad wheel placement. Glad I caught that. Want this slightly elevated. There we go. Or protruding more than the other ones. Here's the center. And she's good to go. Oh, freak, man. I forgot to freaking tell you guys about how to use flaps. Oh, God. And I probably just, like, that whole... Oh, no, I think I saved it. It didn't get deleted. In another video, if I ever do any kind of other building tips or anything like that, I'll definitely run over flaps. But if you're really eager to know about flaps and how they work, look them up. I mean, they are awesome. I don't know why more people don't use them in their building, especially when they're building planes, because they're like super practical. I don't know why you would like not even opt out for them, and especially in huge planes. All right, so we're not gonna do any waiting here. I'm just gonna blast this thing straight out into find out where the engines are. Okay, they don't want the top. All right. Yep. Oh yeah, I had antennas on it. They were never gonna survive the speed that this thing was made to. This thing was made to go fast, and they were never gonna survive the speed. Whoa. All right, so it took me about 97, 98 meters per second to get off the ground with this. And which is about typical because this thing's carrying a lot of payload. It's got things in the inside, it's got things on the wings, so it's probably heavier than what I said, but you know, without those things, this would have gotten off the ground very, very easy. Again, I'm not even touching, well, let me pitch down just a bit. And I'm not touching the controller. When this thing picks up speed, the prograde should raise up just a bit. Ooh, maybe this thing needs struts because it seems to be rocking. Yeah, guys, make sure in this game you strut your things, like everything's, you have the struts on because the rocking will mess with your flight. Every time your plane rocks, your control surfaces will try to adjust the plane, and to me it just messes it up even more. So if the program marker is moving up to the left, I'm definitely pushing more out on the right side of this plane for some reason. I don't know why. Why is this engine running so much? Oh, I think I know why. So the problem I just had, I believe, is that I don't think I had enough air intakes for this plane to be out. No, wait, no, that had to be it because one engine was just like a lot weaker than the other one, but then it popped in and it's like, I guess it adjusted to the other one. So yeah, I think it's so cool how those like the aerodynamic what do you call it, animation comes over the aircraft in the game. I think that's pretty cool. Take it even one more step further. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can get a look at the real physics that's going on here. Oh, awesome. Look at that. This tells you already right here, guys. This is actually way better than I ever could have explained it. So again, look at this. This explains it a lot. Wow, this is amazing. I wish, wait, okay, so from what I can tell, yellow seems to be a surface with lift and control. Because when I move the ones in the back, or no, actually, because these have lift. No control. Well, they do have control, but they are not yellow. So I gotta find out what the yellow is for. Because this blue here represents lift, and this is everywhere the plane is picking up lift. Again, with how I described before, with the majority of the weight being in the back, that's where you should have most of the lift. That will pick the plane up with ease. So I have a small amount of lift here in the front, and this is from the plane parts that I use. I believe the Mark III fuselage generates lift. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it does. Oh, weird. These also generated lift too. So these probably help me get off the ground as well without me even knowing. So yeah, let me see, lift drag multiplier, lift multiplier. Nice. There's an arrow data GUI. Awesome. This is, I guess, if you're really into the science of aerodynamics and planes and all other stuff, this stuff will be awesome for you, dude. Look at all this stuff. Look at all this data. I don't even know what this is. Free shout out for anybody who knows what the hell this is. Ballistic COEF. Oh, let's see if we can check drag. I'm pretty sure if you guys aren't familiar with drag is when you any of those can we not see it? Okay, no, we can't see it. I don't know the correct definition for it, but drag is like when you have anything like those missiles on the bottom of this plane, or that would be creating drag right now for this aircraft. Basically, they're the things that would slow this, that would slow you down in flight, I guess. I don't know. Just try and aim for as little drag as possible. So they can try with this real sharp turn here. Anybody know what red is? What does that red mean? guys. This is just flying, little effort. Still letting this go. Just gonna wait. Yeah, man, this thing's too fast for its own good. I'm not even sure if I put air brakes on it. I think I did, and I don't see parachutes in the staging, so there was no parachutes. Landing with this is going to be next. Like, you're going to need tons of runway, like loads of it, because to stop something like this, you would need to, have atomic brake. So guys, that's pretty much it for my building video today, or my tips video, or whatever you want to call it. Anybody who tuned in to watch, thanks for the questions and support or whatever. I hope somebody, because man, some of the videos that I've been seeing have just been like, oh my god. Like, you just know that it's never going to fly, no matter what. And I feel kind of sorry because they're moving around wings, and they're just like, oh, why won't it fly? And they just, So, guys, I hope this video helps everybody, or help whoever watched it. And, yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.